Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com. First, a little housekeeping. A couple of you have been asking to hear Big Daddy over there, and I haven't given him a little workout in a while, so here. There you go. And I'll just let it reverberate and we'll enjoy that fantastic resonance. So, first, there was Iphigenia in Aulis. Then there was Iphigenia in Taurus. Then there was Iphigenia in Brooklyn. And now we have Barbirolli in New York. Yes, that's the latest epic story that we're going to be addressing. The Barbirolli edition during his rather brief stint with the New York Philharmonic. Now, Barbirolli's term with the New York Philharmonic was widely regarded as a failure, which really wasn't fair to him. Because, first of all, he was quite a good conductor. He always was. And second of all, anybody who followed Toscanini was bound to be judged and found wanting. And so it was to a certain extent with Barbirolli. But he made a select collection of recordings in the late 30s, which is when this basically happened. Let's see, starting in 1937. And for the few years he was there. And some of them are quite marvelous, and they're contained here in this 6 CD box. Now, of course, these all date from the 30s and I think early 40s, so the sound is kind of grotty. I mean, you have to expect that. But, the performances are kind of interesting, and so some of the repertoire. So let's just go through it and see how it is. I've been playing these things all morning today just to see, how the transfers were and how they sounded and all that. And I have to say, I've been pretty impressed. I really have. These covers in those days, I mean, they were 78s. They were ugly and basic and unpleasant. Yuck. I mean, look at this stuff. It's just, it's as boring and uninteresting as they could possibly make it. So, fortunately, the music making is a little bit more interesting than the artwork. So let's talk about these things. First of all, on disc 1, we get Purcell's Suite for Strings, Woodwinds, and Horns, which was arranged by Barbirolli, and then Debussy's Iberia, and Tchaikovsky's Francesca da Rimini, and Respighi, One Ancient Air and Dance, number 2, the Aria di Corte from Suite number 3, and then the Fountains of Rome, which was really taking up the gauntlet because, of course, the Fountains of Rome and the Pines of Rome and the Roman Romans and the Romes of Rome and the Festivals of Rome and the buses of Rome and all that stuff, that was Toscanini territory. But Barbirolli knew what he was doing. And frankly, these are all very good performances. They're very enjoyable. And the recordings are remarkably clear. I mean, they're compressed dynamically, but they're good. I mean, you can hear what's going on in the orchestra. And, one of the advantages to these recordings is that unlike Barbirolli's most of his career at this period, when he had, after the Second World War, particularly the Halle and whatnot, which was horrible, he had a great orchestra. And he didn't always have a great orchestra. Even the English orchestras in the 50s and the immediate post-war period weren't so hot. So in some respects, these recordings represent Barbirolli at his best with the best orchestra. And so I wouldn't snicker at this. It's quite well worth listening to. The next disc, Schubert's Tragic Symphony, 5 German dances, and the Brahms 2. Now, the Brahms 2 is a swift and trenchant performance. The Schubert's very good. There's nothing not to like about it. I mean, they're good, solid performances. The finale of the Brahms is quite exciting. Actually, all of the tempi in these performances tend to be on the swift side, which for most of us will be a good thing. It's much more in keeping with our current aesthetic demeanor in terms of, period instruments and playing everything fast and whatnot. But they're good performances, very solid performances, and it's major stuff. So, Barbirolli, of course, re-recorded all of this stuff later on, and in the big box, which, don't worry, I have it sitting right over there. It's coming. It's only 106 CDs. It's only taken me about a year to get through it, but I just checked and saw that it's still available, which means it probably didn't sell that well. So I'm going to cover it sometime very soon. We'll see. Anyway, then we get Sibelius Symphonies 1 and 2. Barbirolli was always a great Sibelian. The worst Sibelius performances were his last stereo cycle with Halle, made just before his death when he was obviously in decline. All of his earlier performances are better, and so are these. I still think in the first movement of the First Symphony, he tends to let the music drift. It sort of floats out there. It needs more rhythm when it's going ya da bum ba da da dum. And he's sort of like wah, ya da 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 da. You may like it. It's more rhapsodic than I like it. But his second symphony was always passionate and romantic and spontaneous, and so it is here. The Royal Philharmonic one was on Chesky, was the best one. I think it's on Testament now, and that was the one to get. But he always did a great Sibelius too. Next, we have a collection of things. Some of these are amazingly well recorded for their day. The Bartered Bride Overture sounds fabulous. Rimsky's Capriccio Espagnol sounds fabulous. La Valse by Ravel. This is a very exciting La Valse. It's really good. It's really decadent and voluptuous, and then angry and apocalyptic. It's a marvelous performance of La Valse. Berlioz's Roman Carnival, Brahms's Academic Festival, the Ballet by Debussy. That's from the Petite Suite, I think, isn't it? And then the Clarinet Rhapsody with Benny Goodman, and Bach's Sheep May Safely Graze, arranged by Barbirolli. And so this all sounds amazingly fine. Then we got a Mozart disc. The Clarinet Concerto with Benny Goodman, Piano Concerto number 27 with Robert Casadessus, and Symphony number 25, the G minor, the little G minor symphony. Now, aside from the symphony, which is nicely done, but nothing special, these are desirable for the soloists, of course. Barbirolli accompanies well. There's nothing more to be said about it than if you like Casadessus. And, of course, this is in the Casadessus box. And Benny Goodman, and there's probably a Benny Goodman box. I think there was. Anyway, that's what you get them for. And finally, last but not least, the Bruch Violin Concerto number 1 with Nathan Milstein. Yes, fabulous. Milstein was always great in that music. The Tchaikovsky Theme and Variations from Suite number 3. That used to be a very popular piece to perform separately, aside from the rest of Suite number 3, which is a pity, actually, because it's a beautiful work. And you should do the whole thing if you're going to do it at all. But the Theme and Variations is a big piece. It's like 20 minutes long, 18 minutes long. And it's got a great Polonaise tune. Bum ba-da-dum, bum ba-ba-ba-ba, bum ba-da-dum, bum ba-ba-ba-ba, bum ba-da-dum, bum bum. But it's very catchy. So that's fun. And then we get an Elizabethan suite arranged by Barbirolli for strings and 4 horns on music by William Byrd, Giles Farnaby, and John Bull. And that's it. That's Barbirolli in New York. It's not a wide-ranging collection, but it is a choice collection of very good things. He did not manage to make all that many recordings because his tenure in New York was brief. And, of course, it sort of overlapped the beginning of World War II and also all kinds of other issues going on back then. Let me just see. What was the last one? Because I assume that these are in basic chronological order. The Milstein is the end. Of course, they don't give you a date. Oh, here it is. 42. Yeah, that was it. That was basically it. It's just about basically a 5-year period that all of these recordings were made. And, he deserves credit for doing really very good work while he was in New York. I think that maybe his tenure deserves a bit of a reappraisal in light of the achievement on evidence here. So let's give credit where credit is due. And if you like historical recordings, and if you're a fan of Barbirolli, then, it's a self-evident purchase. Grab one while you can, because it's going to disappear probably pretty soon, because it's already been out for a while. And once it's gone, it will be gone, because Barbirolli didn't stay for long in New York any more than Iphigenia stayed in Taurus. Barbirolli had to get back to the UK, and Iphigenia had to get back to wherever the hell her next stop was on the itinerary. So keep on listening, friends. Take care.